Good evening, this is Kat.
Who is 617-531-0334?
Me, Kathy Ann.
Okay.
And then just real quick before we kick off, if Kara could share the agenda. I apologize, Kara. I didn't get a chance to call you today. You're very busy.
That's okay. You
working.
mean share as far as like send you a document?
Yeah, or could we just bring it up on the screen? Are you able to share your screen? And we could just have that up as we kind of go through our matters.
Mm,
I think,
I'm toggling back from the phone to the camera, so I really can't
Okay,
like show
no,
it.
no
Okay.
problem, no problem, no problem. Can you send
was,
it to me?
It's Joe had sent the agenda to everyone on Thursday.
Okay.
I have it
Okay.
somewhere here.
The minutes are also in there. And the three items on the agenda tonight were obviously the minutes, the management of the COVID-19 in the Waltham community, and the resolution concerning lowering the meal tax.
Yep. Okay, we'll read each matter, and if that could be forwarded, because I don't see it in the email. So
I have it
Thank
up
you.
here. I have it up on my, where is this one?
Yep. Yes, please. I love that. Thank you. Thanks, Kara, for preparing this.
That's all
Okay,
right.
we're at 6. No, listen, we're multitasking, all of us. We'll get through this as a team. Thank you. It's 6:01.
I just need to start recording. So that's the only thing
Okay.
I need to do on my end.
Okay.
Okay, we are all set. You're all set with me.
Thanks, Joe.
Good evening. Thank you, Joe. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and fellow counselors. The Community and Economic Development Committee is called to order at 6:01. The clerk will call the roll.
Chairwoman Harris,
Present.
Councilor Darcy,
Present.
Councilor Durkee,
Present.
Councilor LaCava.
Present.
Okay, and Councilor Paz.
What is going on?
I didn't see him log on. Is he there? Oh.
He just came in, Kara.
Oh, okay. Hi, Councilor Paz.
Hello.
Oh, hi there. Thank you. Okay, I'm just taking the roll. That's all. Thank you.
Present.
Thanks.
The clerk will read the first matter.
First matter is approval of minutes from what was the date? Oh, geez. Sorry, I'm toggling back and forth.
No, you take your time. Don't worry. We're here.
What's the date of the minutes there?
From 3 to March
3/2.
2nd.
3/2/2020.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilor.
Councilor Durkee makes a motion to approve the minutes from 3/2/20. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. The clerk will read the next matter.
Okay. The next matter is the management of COVID-19 in Waltham Community Resolution submitted by Councilor Mackin, Councilor Paz, and Councilor O'Brien.
Okay.
like Any part of it
Say that-
or?
Yeah, if you could read that, and then I want to see which counselor wishes to speak that's on committee, so I'll be asking that. So go ahead,
Okay.
Kara, please read the matter. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. It's lengthy, just FYI. This was submitted April 27th, 2020. Whereas COVID-19 is a rapidly spreading, highly transmittable and deadly virus currently impacting our community. And whereas the governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has declared a state of emergency with shelter-in-place recommendations until May 4th, school closures through the end of the school year, and childcare closures until June 29th. And whereas, in the absence of a governmental mandate to provide shelter, people are living in close proximity to one another in Waltham streets permanent shelters, and temporary shelters in conditions that pose a severe and imminent threat to the health, safety, and well-being of themselves and others. And whereas there is also a significant number of suspected cases of community transmission and likely further significant increases in transmission, with other shelter facilities in the Commonwealth experiencing a 40% or higher rate of COVID-19 infections. And whereas Waltham's Health Department, together with the public health experts at the local, state, and national level, recognize the limiting interactions among people as much as possible is proven to slow transmission of COVID-19. The United States Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, has found that the potential for pre-symptomatic transmission underscores the importance of social distancing, including the avoidance of congregate settings to reduce COVID-19 spread. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council work with the Mayor's Office, Health Department, Middlesex Human Services Agency, and other organizations providing support, testing, and care for people experiencing homelessness. Respectfully submitted, Councilor Mackin, Councilor Jonathan Paz, Councilor Patrick O'Brien.
Thank you very much, Clerk Wilson. I recognize Councilor Paz. Are you representing this in committee tonight? Or do we need to recognize off-committee members? Is Councilor Mackin joining?
Yes, I move to recognize committee member Councilor Mackin, who is helping spearhead this effort.
Okay, please pause. Committee members, you've heard the motion from Councilor Maz to hear from off-committee member Councilor Mackin. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Councilor Mackin, you have the floor.
Thank you. I will be fairly brief. I just want to raise, we did receive a response from the health department that came into our council emails at 4:30 today. And I know a lot of councilors probably have not had time to review it while preparing for the meeting because we have so much other stuff going on and it did come in on the late side. This response laid out that Waltham has an agreement with the AFC Urgent Care for referrals to administer testing, that the information is secure and private, and that if an individual experiencing homelessness tests positive, there's a number they can call and have that person triage for a place to go to isolate or quarantine. It's coordinated through the state and the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency. So this is great news that we have testing in place as needed and available to people. I'm really pleased to have that response. The other request that went to the mayor's office, we have not yet received a response, which I understand everyone is very busy. However, I do want to raise that in a series of emails with the mayor some time ago, she indicated that the plan was for the tents to stay up on the common until May 4th. They have not come down today, and with the governor's order extended through May 19th, or May 18th, I expect that they'll remain up through them, but it would be, I would appreciate having confirmation of that from her office when she is able to do so. So that is
Mackin?
the status of this.
Sorry to, okay, yep, sorry to interrupt you. Councilor Mackin, are you making a request or are you making a request of an on-committee member of this committee to make that request to the mayor's office for that additional detail? Is that your?
No,
okay,
not at this time. I believe it's encompassed in the original request, and I'm perfectly willing to wait for her to have time to provide a written response, especially with the shelter remaining in place for people. I don't believe that there's a sense of urgency right now when she's triaging so many other issues. However, I'm happy to hear from committee members on that matter as well.
Okay. Councilor Mackin, is there anything else you wish to present in committee?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Councilor Paz, what is the wish?
I wish to submit a request to the Department of Public Health. I have a set of 4 different questions that I would appreciate a written response to the council. It's in addition to what Councilor, the off-committee member has provided.
Can I clarify that request? So the Department of Public Health is at the state level. Are you making this request to the City of Waltham's Public Health Department?
Public Health
I know,
Department.
it's okay. Can you please state the request with the appropriate agency so that we can properly vote on that, please? Can you make that request again? Thank you.
Yes, I move to make a request to the Public Health Department to provide a written response to the council. May I read the questions?
Yes, I need the questions explicitly stated so that we can vote on them. I guess we'll go collectively, and if there's any objection, why don't we do them one by one? So let's do one question, one request, and that way if there's objections or further clarifications, the committee can deliberate. So ask your first question in the form of a request, please.
Thank you, Chair. I also just wrote them in the comment section, but I will provide a written request after this meeting.
Thank you.
But in terms of supplies, with all donations coming in for masks, hand sanitizer, et cetera, to the city, is there a city agency such as the health department that is delivering these safety items to COVID positive households? I do have a follow-up to that, which is now that the governor has mandated face masks, does the city have a coordinated effort to supply masks to households that don't have them?
So can we take these one at a time? So your first request, can you please state that question? We'll vote on that, and then we'll ask the next question. When you submit this in writing to the clerk of the committee, it needs to be done tonight. I just remind you of process. And if you could, I know you've done notes here, so it does help to have those, I think, for yourself and other committee members, but we have to have it read into the record for the voice vote. So let's do one question at a time, please. Your first question.
So just the first question on supplies. With all the donations coming in for masks, hand sanitizers, et cetera, to the city, is there a city agency such as the health department that is delivering these safety items to COVID positive households?
Okay, you've heard the request to the Waltham Public Health Department to provide a response to this question stated by Councilor Paz on hand sanitizers. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Your first question is passed. What is the next Councilor Paz question or request you wish to make?
Just regarding isolation site, is there a plan to set up self-isolation housing in Waltham, such as using a dorm at Brandeis or Bentley? Many communities are doing this, and with Waltham's numbers really rising since last week, the need is growing. This is especially true for some of our households that have very dense living situations.
Okay. You've heard the question by Councilor Paz to the Waltham Health Department on a plan for self-isolation, any planning that's gone on or any options or discussions. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. Councilor Paz.
Thank you, Chair. Last question on testing. What is the city doing to promote getting a free testing site here? Newton Wellesley says that they're looking into it. Do we have an update?
Councilor Paz, you stated that this is to the city. Is this still directed to the department of our health department in the city of Waltham, or are you referencing another department head? Please clarify.
I think this could be directed just to the mayor's office, since the mayor is intimately involved with a variety of health providers.
Okay. Could you state your question then, a request to the mayor, because this will be a slightly different request. So you'll owe the chair of the committee for these actions 2 documents, one for the request to the mayor's office and then one for the other department head, which is the Department of Health for the city of Waltham. So state your request to the mayor, please.
Yes. What is the city doing to promote free testing on
Okay.
site?
Okay.
And if there's any
Committee
updates
members?
from-
Okay.
Excuse me.
No problem. So I think you put it in the form of a question and she would respond and then we can ask additional questions. You've heard the request from Councilor Paz to the mayor to respond to any plans for a free testing site. Is that the sense of the request, Councilor Paz?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. Councilor Paz, any other questions or requests on this matter?
Yeah, just specifically on to the health department. Is there just specifically about the face masks? Does the city have a coordinated effort to supply masks to households that don't have them?
Councilor Paz, on this matter, could you formulate your first request to the Waltham Health Department to respond to all PPE? Because that would include, gloves, masks, and hand sanitizer. Can you just modify your original request and we'll take a vote on that
Yeah,
rather
that's
than
fine.
send these individually?
I
Okay,
appreciate
so
that, yeah.
state, no problem. State that one more time in your own words, covering the PPE items you wish to get an update from the health department on, please.
With all the donations coming in terms of personal protective equipment, is there a coordinated effort to provide PPE to COVID positive households?
Thank you. Committee members, you've heard the sense of motion made by Councilor Paz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Are there, Councilor Paz, what is your wish?
That'll be it. Thank you, Chair. I move.
Okay.
Oh,
You're making a motion to place the matter. Yeah, so let's let, so are you making a motion to put the matter back on the table and then on that motion? Or are you rescinding the floor and I can call another councilor? Which are you trying to do?
Thank you. I yield my time.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councilor Paz. What is the wish of the committee?
Madam Chair, this is Councilor Durkee.
Councilor Durkee, the chair recognizes Councilor Durkee.
I guess it's a question to you, and it has to do with the subject matter, but also procedurally. When questions like this come up, and maybe I shouldn't be asking during the committee meeting, but I wonder if we have questions like this, is it appropriate to invite the mayor to speak on the matter as opposed to having these questions? I have no problem with any like off member or a current member questions. But I think at this time, I mean, I give everyone leeway, but with the pandemic and how busy people they are, I hate the idea of requiring a written response to each and everything when it may be like a 5-minute question and answer thing that satisfies the councilor's questions. So I guess the question is, well, twofold. One, going forward, is there a mechanism that we can use to invite, say, the mayor? If we have questions for the mayor, the questions for the health department, can we invite them so they don't have to submit something in writing?
So, I mean, of course we can, but in this time, I think the reason why we were going with written responses is because the mayor would have to stop doing what she's doing right now, which is working late into the evening, taking care of many triage items to attend a committee meeting when her department head could attend and she could provide written responses. I mean, most of these questions, frankly, are very specific. They require data and plans. And, as long as those responses are back, I think the goal of this was to ensure there were plans and mechanisms in place, and there are, and we're unpacking the remaining of those questions. So I think asking the mayor to drop what she's doing at 6 o'clock in 2 weeks, not knowing what is before us as a city, may not be the best use of all of our time. And if she's not able to respond by the next committee, then I think when requests are made of her, if she's run into some sort of challenge, that we allow her the ability to signal that, and we would take the matter up in a follow-up meeting. I mean, if that's what you're asking, I'll see what the committee thinks. I mean, if the mayor, so the question, Councilor, I think you could ask this in the form of a motion. I think we need to address this issue. It's very important to the city. It's impacting all of our residents, not just those that are homeless. And I think if the mayor is unable to respond in a 2-week time frame by committee, I think you could ask that in the form of a motion so that we would have some rules around any request we give the mayor's office. That way she would get, a release valve on some of this question and answer period to allow her to address higher triage items. So if you'd like to make that motion, we can do that.
No, I mean, I'll let things stand. I guess the only other question I had is there anything wrong with submitting? So like the counselor submitted a bunch of written questions. Is there anything wrong with like public law by maybe having these sent to us ahead of time so we can review them?
we're in agreement. I think to your prior point, Councilor Durkee, I think these department heads and also the mayor are taking care of actual situations with patients and consumers and constituents. And so they're using their administrative time, unfortunately that was just before this meeting. So I think if it can be provided, if we get a docket response on Monday next week, I think we as a committee should review those as a committee and then see if the answers are satisfactory. I don't think we can force these committee department heads, and the mayor to respond to us ahead of what are really human emergencies. I don't think we can do that. I think we have to deliberate, but we have to allow cycle times of our executive branch and our other department heads because we can't even imagine what they're going through. So I don't think we can force an answer before this. I think we have to, there's been an effort, a very solid effort on behalf of the mayor and all department heads to respond. And frankly, I don't know if anybody else felt this way, but I was surprised to see written responses this quickly, given what people are dealing with at a management level.
Chairwoman, I guess my question was, and I apologize for taking up everyone's time, that like if we have questions, I would ask the committee, like if we have questions like this, that we, if we're allowed to submit them to other fellow committee members so we can like think about it instead of just when we get to committee, because some of these are pretty
we have to conduct the business in the committee that's required as part of the open meeting law. You obviously have ideas, and that would be your prep to come to committee. But there's no reason to stop discussion in this committee if you want to bring something up and it's more of a discussion across the committee and get people's opinions versus actually making requests. And you're free to do that. But I think we have to conduct our business in this meeting so that it's in the minutes and we're approving this as part of the open meeting law.
Got it. Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other counselors?
Yes, Chair, Councilor LaCava.
Chair recognizes Councilor LaCava.
I apologize. A lot of this might be redundant. I don't know if we noticed I was in and out for the beginning of this. I actually did not catch much, if anything at all, that was previously stated. So if these questions are duplicates, I do apologize.
No problem.
From
Go ahead.
what I had kind of gathered in information in terms of what was going on in the common, it seemed to be that the city was merely providing the land and possibly some police presence, and this was being run through Middlesex Human Services. And I know this only pertains to some of what the resolution states, but I do believe it is an important part of it. So if this was already asked, my questions would kind of pertain to, have we asked Middlesex Human Services to get involved and answer some questions? Because if not, I do have some questions for them to be answered, and if by the next economic and community development meeting. So I'm going to rattle off some requests and questions, and if they have been already asked, please just let me know and I will withdraw them.
Councilor LaCava, before you get started, just to summate what we've done, most of the questions were to the Waltham Health Department and the mayor's office, raised by both Councilor Paz and Councilor Mackin. So there has not been any questions raised to request information from Middlesex Human Services Agency. So if we could take each question one by one, then we can go ahead and vote on those, similar to how we approached Councilor Paz's multiple questions.
Great, thank you.
Thank
my
you.
first question would be for them to provide a COVID plan for all the shelters and organizations that they manage in the city. I know the Common just being one of them, and I think that would help kind of in what the councils of the makers of this resolution are looking for. So again, I would provide a COVID plan for all shelters and organizations they manage in the city of Waltham and highlight any anticipated issues and their plans to be addressed.
Okay, you've all heard the sense of that request to Middlesex Human Services Agency to provide a COVID plan for all the shelters that they manage and also their mitigation plan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Councilor LaCava.
My second question is kind of beyond human services disaster. what are their disaster and emergency plans for all of their shelters, including the Lexington Men's Shelter, for anything going forward past this, as obviously COVID-19 has addressed a lot of issues, and I would like to see what they have kind of in preparation to go beyond this. It seems as their emergency plan was for this was to have the state implement a tent on City Hall, and I didn't know if that's their.
Thank you, Council.
Summarize that request again. It was just beyond 19 disaster.
Thank you, Council LaCava. You've all heard the sense of the motion. Council LaCava requests that Middlesex Human Services Agency provide in writing beyond COVID their disaster and emergency plans for all their shelters and hang on one second. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm gonna, you might be frozen there, but I'll repeat. Beyond COVID, Council LaCava makes a request that Middlesex Human Services Agency provide in writing and also appear at the next committee meeting to answer questions around disaster and emergency plans for their shelters. For emergencies beyond COVID, I think he referenced fire or gas leaks. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Council LaCava, have you joined us again?
Council O'Brien. Can you hear
Council
me?
LaCava has the floor. Yes, excuse me, Council O'Brien. Council LaCava has the floor. I'll recognize you next. I
Okay.
apologize, but I want to see where Council LaCava is. Chair Wilson, do you see him in the screen that you have where you can see everybody joining?
Let me.
House.
Point of information.
Hold on, please.
I do not see him anymore.
Okay. All right. So what we'll do is when Council LaCava joins back, we'll see if he has any additional questions. The chair recognizes Councilor O'Brien.
Thank you. Yeah, I was on the call for the first 15 minutes on my phone, but I don't think you could hear me, but that's okay. The only thing I'll add is, on March 21st, I think it was, that Saturday night on the news, I saw that they were doing the testing at the AFC site on Main Street. And, obviously this is the first time we've ever dealt with something like this serious. And I called somebody that I know that's very close to me, and they went in on Monday and were able to have the test, and they tested positive. So it was a long 2 weeks for a lot of us in my family. But in any event, I think it's great that our city's doing this and has stepped up right in the beginning. And I just think, going forward, as far as the hand sanitizer, my company was able to donate a bunch of hand sanitizers to the Meals on Wheels program. So I think going forward, as Councilor Paz said, knowing who to go to for the next round, because I think there's going to be more opportunity for masks and PPE, hand sanitizers to be donated. I think a lot of companies want to spend more money and donate more. So I think a matter of knowing where to go and who to talk to will be helpful. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor O'Brien. Appreciate your comments. Any other councilors wish to speak? Has Councilor LaCava joined us back?
I think he's back.
Councilor LaCava, are you there?
Yeah, I am finally back.
Welcome back, Councilor LaCava.
Yes, I
Chair
apologize
recognizes-
for all of the troubles that I've
No,
put this meeting through.
no problem. We did approve your last question. Did you have any other questions or requests for this committee on this matter?
My last question would just speak to their financials and what COVID-19 has done to their financial statements and what they have what they're able to provide going forward.
Thank you, Councilor LaCava. So Councilor LaCava makes a request to Middlesex Human Services Agency to provide the financials impact of COVID and also the ability to fund their emergency readiness plans. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Are there any other counselors that wish to speak on this?
At this
Councilor
point,
Paz makes, sorry, I was just going to say, Councilor Paz makes a motion to place this matter back on the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Will the clerk read the next matter?
Sure thing. The next resolution we have is a resolution concerning lowering the meals tax submitted on April 27th of 2020. Whereas Waltham has been known as Restaurant Row, as restaurants at the heart of downtown Waltham. And whereas the current meals tax in Waltham, the meals tax rate in Waltham is 7.0%, which comprises a 6.25% state tax and a 0.75% local option tax. And whereas the local option meal tax became effective in Waltham on July 1st, 2010. And whereas most restaurants in Waltham are locally owned small businesses. And whereas the recent COVID-19 crisis has drastically reduced restaurant income and thus has negatively affected many of its lower wage workers. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council consider removing the 0.75% local option meals tax. Respectfully submitted by Councilor George Darcy III.
Thank you, Clerk. The chair recognizes Councilor Darcy. Councilor Darcy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this matter is pretty self-explanatory. It involves potentially suspending, even if temporarily, the local option 0.75% meals tax. For fiscal year 2019, the 7% meals tax generated in Waltham $1.68 million. And of that, the 0.75% local option amounted to $180,000. For 12-month period. So one month on the 20th of this month, I believe. Obviously, that revenue will be far less given the times that we're in right now. And historically, Massachusetts increased their meal tax 5% to 6.25% in 2009, and we adopted the local tax in 2010. So I'm asking the City Council to potentially remove, even if temporarily, local option meals tax, and that's the essence of the resolution. And I welcome comments.
Thank you,
Yes.
Councilor Darcy. Councilor LaCava.
Thank you, Chairwoman Harris. Reduce a meals tax. I am behind. I would be behind that. But Councilor Darcy did a great job in presenting. But the fact here is that the meals tax is something that gets passed on to the consumer, and the 0.075%, if we were to suspend this, would essentially just change the price of a meal. So if that's what we would wish to do, that's great. But the tax is something that is paid by the consumer and then just therefore given to the state. And restaurants are simply the middleman in this transaction. In reality, the restaurants that would make out are the people that don't pay their meals tax, and they'd be taking money for something and not providing it to the state or the city in this case. While on its cover, on its look, it's a great thing to help. So I would vote to get rid of this altogether, just to simply make prices smaller at restaurants. But for the gist of this, it's really not able to help restaurants as we are looking for it. So again, I would always be in favor of reducing a tax. but the truth is, in terms of helping restaurants, this really doesn't do what we'd hope it would do. I do just want to point those facts out. Thank you.
Councilor LaCava, thank you. Councilor Darcy, did you want to respond or? Okay, so Councilor LaCava, did you make a motion or a request back to the maker of the resolution, or was it more just informational?
I did not want to make any requests on this councilor's motion. I just wanted to put that forward in if something we could look at further. I would assume, I think there may be others looking to speak on the matter before anything, but I would hope that we just take a look at that.
Sure.
So.
Thank you, Councilor LaCava. Are there any other speakers on this resolution?
Madam Chair, may I ask a question?
The chair recognizes Councilor Paz.
Is the Ward 5 councilor stating his opposition to cutting taxes? I'm just really curious.
No, I do not believe I was opposed to cutting a tax. I believe I said I was always in favor of cutting a tax. I was just simply pointing out that cutting this tax does not do anything to help restaurants or food establishments. This tax would just then, this tax is simply passed on to the consumer. So if we're doing something to help the restaurants, things that I would like to see done would be maybe reduce the annual license fee, which is astronomical to ones that may own a liquor license as opposed to ones that are simply owning a business, or to limit or suspend the entertainment fee, which is $100 for every piece of machine that is in your restaurant, or possibly retroactively returning the pay that was that the city was overcharging for the previous 15 years by 150% above the state mandated or state allowed $100, in which the city was taking $250. I think those are things we should be looking at to help the city of Waltham businesses in terms of Restaurant Row. If we are looking to simply lower the tax, I would be behind that. It's just not something that would simply help the restaurants. And I
Thank
just
you,
wanted to make
Councilor.
that clear.
Thank you, Councilor LaCava. Councilor Paz, when we raise, we're supposed to go through the chair to the councilor from Ward 5. Just remember the process when we're talking. Councilor Paz, do you still have the floor?
No, I'm learning here. Thank you. And I would like to thank the councilor for clarifying that as a local business owner. That really helps the perspective, at least helped me. But yeah, that'll be it for my time.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Paz. Any other councilors wish to speak on this?
Madam Chair, I have a question. Is Councilor O'Brien?
I move to hear from off committee member.
Thank you.
Councilor O'Brien.
Thank you.
So, yes, Councilor O'Brien, you have to be recognized by a committee member to speak. So give us the opportunity to do that. The chair recognizes Councilor O'Brien.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question through you to the Ward 3 councilor. I just wanted to know, is this resolution independent of anything that the mayor is already doing, or have you talked to the mayor about it? And the reason I ask is there was an email that I received from a business owner, a restaurant owner on Moody Street a couple weeks back asking what we're going to do to help out. And I had emailed the mayor and she said she's working on it. So I kind of let it go at that point. And I don't know if this is part of that or is this independent of that? Thank you.
So is your question directed to Councilor Darcy?
Yes.
Okay,
Through you.
Councilor,
Thank you.
you.
Yeah, this is independent of what the mayor may or may not be doing. Obviously, there are other items the Ward 5 councilor mentioned that we should definitely be looking at. So just one item in our toolbox to reduce the overall cost of restaurants. So
Okay.
that's my answer. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. That's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor O'Brien. What is the wish of the committee?
Madam Chair, is Councilor Durkee, can I just address the committee
Okay,
for a moment?
Chair, yeah, the chair recognizes Councilor Durkee. Go ahead.
So I just, in general, I think it's a bad idea. Based on what the Ward 5 counselor said, in that one, it's not going to reduce the price. It's not, if the purpose is to get people to use the, to go to restaurants, it's really not going to change the price. I mean, they'll just, the restaurant will collect the money instead of the city getting it. But I look at, when you're going to reduce a tax, that what services, what things are you going to reduce to make that up? Because there's no such thing as free money. So I would just ask people to consider, even if it's $180,000, I mean, I could find better uses than to eliminate the tax. And I'm sure all counselors could have their preferences, but I think it just sets a bad precedent, because every time we have a downturn, people are going to expect a tax to disappear. And at the end of the day, I mean, in my short term on the committee, we voted for some pretty large items, in the tens of millions of dollars. So maybe it's just watching the pennies, but I have a concern with the process overall. And I don't think this is the time to be reducing revenue when we know we have more things to pay for. So that's all I wanted. That's all I wanted to state.
Thank you,
Could I-
Councilor Durkee.
This is Councilor
Yes.
I'd just like to respond to that
Councilor
in one
Cava.
an aspect is in, well, I don't
Yep.
disagree with what some of Councilor from Ward 6 said. This will indeed lower the price of items. It's just going to be on the tax end, which is just, I'm just saying it's not, the restaurant won't feel any relief, but it will indeed, your taxes will be lower, so the consumer will be paying a lower price. I just wanted to clarify that to what the council from Ward 6 said. And that is something I don't have a problem with at all.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Councilor LaCava. Thank you, Councilor LaCava. Are there any other councilors that wish to speak on the matter? Councilor Darcy.
So hearing none, I would make a motion to approve the resolution. Be sent to the full council. And I have a question for the clerk. And do you know how many votes would be needed to pass this in the full council?
3.
No, in the full council?
Oh,
Is it a simple 8 or is it
I
10,
think
10
it's
votes?
just, yeah, it's not Lander, just 8.
Okay, all right. So, I mean, the point that I'm trying to make is that this will benefit, this will lower the cost of going up for takeout, at least during this time. And you can certainly raise it back up once the COVID crisis is over, whether that be 3 months from now, months from now, or 6 months from now. So given that, it will put some money back into people's pockets and will hopefully increase the traffic. So I would make a motion for approval, and I would ask for a vote.
Thank you, Councilor
Madam
Darcy.
Chair, before the vote is taken, I would like to,
Councilor
I apologize. I should have started my comments by saying this. I did seek guidance on this, and I was told that I would be able to partake in deliberation, but I am not able to vote on this matter.
Let the record
So
reflect,
for the-
Councilor.
I will be recusing myself for the vote.
Let the record reflect that Councilor LaCava is recusing himself for the vote, and he was able to deliberate and provide his opinion. There's a motion before us. The motion is to approve the resolution that was read into the record tonight by Councilor Darcy, reducing the meals tax revenue. All those in favor say aye.
Madam Chair, just a question prior to the vote.
Okay, Councilor Paz has a question on the motion. Councilor Paz.
So I threw you to the petitioner, to the sponsor of the resolution. Curiosity, you mentioned temporary. Could you clarify like this amount of time that you were thinking?
Well,
Councilor Darcy.
through you, Madam Chair, the governor has deferred all meals tax payments, I think, to July, to the summer. So when I say on a temporary basis, I'm happy to state, a 3-month reprieve If that was the concern of some of the councils on this committee, in efforts to match what the state is doing. The state is essentially deferring tax payments for 3 months. So if you would be willing for, if it's the question of yours to put a time limit on this, that's fine with me. I'm happy to go along with the time limit to see how this goes. So that's my
Councilor Paz.
response.
Councilor Paz.
Could I move to amend the resolution to include that time limit that you mentioned?
A
I would
friendly,
accept that amendment for a 3-month reprieve of the local option meals tax.
the friendly
in-
amendment has been, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to ask for a roll call vote when we come to the final vote.
Yes, sir. The friendly amendment has been set forth by Councilor Paz to time restrict this to 3 months. You've heard motion for approval by Councilor Darcy. Roll call is requested. Will the clerk read the roll?
Chairwoman Harris,
Yes.
Councilor Darcy,
Yes.
Councilor Durkee,
No.
Councilor Carver's out, and Councilor Paz.
Yes.
Okay, your motion carries.
Thank you, everybody. Are there any other matters on our agenda for tonight? Clerk Wilson.
No, there are not.
We have an hour for this meeting. There are 14 minutes remaining. Are there any other items that this committee wishes to take up on our docket? Hearing none, what is the wish of the committee?
Motion to adjourn.
Councilor Carver makes a motion to adjourn at 6:46 PM. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much for your work. Thank you, Clerk Wilson.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. Sure.
Thank you.
Looking good, Counselor.